We are back. This is the Monday, February 23rd edition of Singletrack News, rejoined by regular co-host Alyssa Clark. Alyssa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. We had to postpone this recording because I got in a little epic of a run, but I mean, that's what we're here for, right?
First up, Ashley Paulson runs 12:19 at the Jackpot 100, a new 100-mile world record at the Jackpot 100 mile in Henderson, Nevada this past weekend. She set the new record. The race is produced by Air Viper Running. It required Paulson to average roughly 7 minutes and 34 seconds per mile. Her mark improves on the previous world best set this past November at Tunnel Hill by Catriona Jennings by more than 17 minutes. Paulson's resume already includes wins at a variety of races, including Badwater, Bigfoot, Zion, across the years. Also notably on the men's side, Paul Panu took the win in 11:38:56. Your thoughts, Alyssa?
I will also say Ashley was she's an Olympic trial marathon qualifier, so she has chops on the speed side. I actually, just a little insight. Joe Corcione coaches her, so I knew that he was coaching her for this. Joe and I were texting back and forth of like, oh my God, she's going to do it. So I honestly not shocked at all by this result. I think that we're just going to see if we have really talented people focusing on this effort over and over. I think we're just going to keep seeing this fall, and that's so exciting. I'm so curious about the difference in course choice and also surface with these like essentially speed records, which is crazy to say for 100 miles, of Tunnel Hill, kind of like gravel, I believe. Jackpot is primarily just cement, a loop versus out and back. So yes, very interesting to see how this plays in, and very curious the kind of like assessment of where we choose to go after these records.
Next up, ski mountaineering made its Olympic debut this past week, and two U.S. trail runners nearly landed on the podium. Cam Smith and Anna Gibson finished fourth in the mixed relay, outperforming their ninth place seed coming into the games. It's the first year that mixed relay has been a part of the Olympic program, and the pair delivered one of Team USA's strongest ski mountain results of the competition. Part of what makes this performance notable, Smith and Gibson don't regularly train together. In fact, their first race as a team came just 2.5 months ago at the Skimo World Cup stop at Solitude here on the Wasatch Front. That's where they won the mixed relay to secure this berth. Also individually, Gibson placed ninth in the sprint. And this is interesting, Alyssa. Elsewhere in the competition, I might butcher the name here, Oriel Cardona helped Spain capture bronze in the men's sprint. Cardona is coached by Kilian Jornet. I had no idea Kilian Jornet was a coach.
Me neither. That was exactly what I thought. I was like, wait, Kilian, like, wow, amazing you won a bronze medal. Kilian coaches? Question mark.
Release the rosters.
Yeah. I just think it so speaks to the correlation of the two. I think we've always known that skimo and trail running go really hand in hand. I mean, Katie Scheid has dipped her toe into skimo.
Martina Valmasoy.
Thank you, Martina Valmasoy. She's a great friend. Like, I know her. She's Martiska on Instagram, so I always get that mixed up. Martina, many athletes. Jeff Mogavero also has gotten into skimo, so I think massive crossover. I think it works really well, and I feel like this, in so many ways, is the entrance point for trail running in the Olympics. Like, I just see those correlations so much.
Moving on, a public dispute in the performance apparel space spilled onto social media this week. Brice Partouche, founder and creative director of Satisfy, shared screenshots of a private text exchange with Nash Howe, founder of the apparel brand Currently, which, by the way, is new on my radar as of this dispute. Partouche, Partouche expressed frustration over what he characterized as product designs that closely resembled Satisfy's work. After the exchange was made public, the situation escalated quickly, prompting widespread discussion across Instagram and other platforms. There's a lengthy Reddit thread out there dissecting the claims. The conversation expanded on further when Kyle Frost, author of the Outdoor Substack Here and There, which is excellent, by the way, published a detailed commentary piece examining it. At its core, the situation raises familiar tensions in the industry. Where is the line between inspiration and imitation? How should founders handle disputes in public versus private? Thoughts here?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it certainly has sparked a lot of conversation. I mean, your boy Scott Jurek, Dillism's also picked it up as well. Um, it's tough. I think that this is the we're seeing the results of how everything can be screenshotted and made public, and I think that that can be really challenging of in a moment of rage, you post something and go, "Oh, man, I probably shouldn't have done that," or maybe he doesn't regret it. But I do think that it's a very public sphere, with social media, and things can really blow up very quickly, so it's it's tough. It's also interesting because Satisfy is at a prohibitive price point for a lot of people, and so I can see yes, also currently now on my radar, I can see the impetus for this happening. I can also see that's very frustrating. So it's tough. I think it's just kind of I would say probably not abnormal growing pains of the fashion industry. I'm sure that Gucci and, you know, Prada or any of those have gotten into disputes before. So, yeah, I think we're just seeing it in a very public manner when maybe it should have been kept private.
There are some people who would say all news is good news, all coverage is good coverage. Some people will say reputations very delicately hang in the balance here. Are there winner? Do you see winners and losers here?
It's one of those questions that I should say my question is, will we forget quickly or will this be a marking point? Because someone actually a friend was like, "Oh my gosh, spring energy, etc." Like that was a marking point for spring that they haven't really come back from that. And so with Satisfy, I mean, very different scenario. It's not like there's anything wrong with the clothing or anything like that, but it's like, is this a turning point for the company or is this just like we're going to forget in a week? So I would say time will tell. I don't think we quite know yet.
Moving on, the Gorge Waterfalls event has officially released the full breakdown of its previously announced $75,000 prize purse, instantly making it one of the most lucrative trail events in North America. Yeah, we talked about this a few weeks back, but the numbers are specific across the 100K, 50K, 30K distances. Top three men and women in the 100K, 15K for the win, 7K for second, 4K for third. In the 50K, it's 5K, 2K, 1K, 30K, 2K, 1K, 500. So with equal payouts across genders, meaningful to depth beyond just the winner. Like I said, this structure positions Gorge Waterfalls as one of the most, in addition to competitive, financially significant ultras on the I shouldn't say continent. Your
I
thoughts here?
would, yeah, I mean, these are amazing numbers. You know, it, it's very interesting to me. And I, we were speaking about this before that I feel like so many big events fall on kind of these 2 weekends in April of like the 14th and then like the 25th or 6th or something like that. They're kind of 2 weeks apart. And so it's tricky when it's like, do you go for the golden ticket? Do you go for the prize purse? Do you go for the UTMB race? There's kind of all the options right there. So I will be curious to see who this polls in the direction of Gorge. I mean, historically an incredible race. I think that the way Gorge increases again is golden ticket status, as the world's qualifier last year. Like it's surprising to me. I mean, I think it's a little bit similar to Run Rabbit Run, where it's like amazing prize purse, but UTMB's right next, knocking at the door. They're very close together. So I'll be curious to see how this prize purse evolves the race and like what choices athletes are making.
This next one, I can barely contain my excitement, Alyssa. A new 200-mile ultra marathon is coming to northern Maine. The event is being branded as the Maine Moose Ultra, slated for September 2027. It'll be staged across Aroostook County with the explicit goal their words, not mine, of becoming a world-class destination race. The project is being organized by a nonprofit group called Ignite PI. It's led by Colin Darrell and Jack Wilson, and will utilize a mix of iconic regional venues, including Loring Air Force Base, Mars Hill Mountain, which is a great place to ski, and the Northern Maine Community Trails Network. Local backing, interestingly, appears significant. Municipal leaders from Fort Fairfield, Van Buren, and the St. John Valley region are all supporting the initiative, alongside coordination with the Maine Office of Tourism. Organizers have been explicit about the strategy, leverage the continued growth of sports tourism to drive economic impact in a rural region that has actually a pretty significant history of hosting major winter events like the Biathlon World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, had to take a look. I mean, this made me super excited. I took a look where it is and just blown away because I used to go up to Prescott all the time to ski
No
race.
way.
Yeah. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're driving that far up there. But it was always worth it. It's beautiful up there. Incredible skiing. They do have a ton of, kind of championship level events in biathlon, in cross country skiing. And so was stoked to see that is where this trail race is going to be. I think that it's going to highlight, I mean, an absolutely incredible area. And I love that the community is behind it. It seems like a very outdoor sports oriented community anyway. So I love that trail running is being added on to that conversation. Are you going to do it?
I would love to. And so I spent, when I was working in Maine politics for years, I would go up there as a campaign surrogate and talk to the local VFWs and the Lions clubs. And I actually went back prior to this conversation, looked up my Strava heat map in that area, running around Holton and Madawaska. And it is an amazing area. Would also be great, I think, for gravel biking. I think a great gravel biking event could go
Oh,
up there too.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot of dirt
Hopefully
roads.
that's the start.
And
Yeah.
I saw a Fish concert there in 2003. So I'm dating myself, but they played at Loring Air Force Base. It was incredible.
That's awesome. It's where your phone and your radio signal starts switching to Canadian stations. It's great.
Totally.
Yeah.
Quick thanks to Precision Hydration, the official nutrition partner of the Singletrack podcast. I've said this before, but what I appreciate most about Precision is how practical their approach is. They're not trying to sell you a one-size-fits-all product. Everything starts with understanding your needs, how much you sweat, how much sodium you lose, how many carbs you actually take in per hour. That's why I keep pointing people towards Precision's Fuel and Hydration Planner. We answer a few questions about your body, your pace, the conditions you're racing in, and it gives you a clear, realistic plan that you can actually execute on race day. I've used this process in my own training and racing. It's helped me simplify decisions instead of overthinking nutrition when it matters most. If you want to check it out, head to the link in our show notes, which goes straight to the planner. And if you decide to order anything, feel free to use code SingleTrack at checkout on their site for 15% off your next order. Big thanks to Andy Blow and the entire Precision team for supporting the show.
Next up, more Golden Trail World Series news via the Mile and Stone newsletter. So we covered a bit of this 2 weeks ago, but Golden Trail World Series is doubling down on global expansion and broadcast reach, according to a recent feature in Mile and Stone. Series leadership outlined a long-term vision built around 4 quote-unquote historic anchor races, complemented by rotating stages designed to explore new territories and cultures. Greg Valet, who sort of runs the program, has also said on the record that they are set to return to France in 2027, either through a historic venue or a newly built event. They go into a bit of commentary on the media side of things. Of course, Warner Brothers Discovery manages the live production and distribution. Some 2025 numbers: they delivered 40 hours of coverage. They reached 17.8 million viewers. And it seems like, again, they are really doubling down and betting on this 2 to 3 hour TV format. And they've framed a lot of this feature sort of in comparison to the Ultra Trail Distance, and how maybe there are some branding issues around athletes in the distance, in the product. But I just find it interesting that at this moment in our sport, they already kind of see the internal stakes in the community. And it's like, how do we grow this side of the sport in tandem with Ultra Trail, and which one is the bigger bet for kind of breaking out into the general population? I'm editorializing a bit, but what do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I see this again as preparation of Olympic formatting of what we're going to see as the format that trail running enters the Olympics. I mean, the fact that Warner Brothers, I think, is getting behind this lends itself to the presence I think it's going to have. Yeah, it's so funny to think about, like, what is exciting to watch because we see such spectrums of it's either, like, really short or really long is what people enjoy the most, of either, I want a story, I wanna get to know the person, I wanna know what they're eating, I wanna know when they sleep, I wanna know their life story, or, like, I wanna see them fly off a mountain, probably with blood streaming down their legs, and just, like, ripping, so, yeah, that's just, like, random thoughts, but I do think we're playing with either, like, a 6-day format or a 2-hour format.
I'm going to bookmark this question for a future Long Run Archives, but if it is true that short distance trail lacks the headline stars that the ultra trail community enjoys, why is that the case?
I think it's 'cause it's harder to get to know them, and I think that that's why, uh I think that's why I hope that they're putting more into the investment of, like, who is Lauren Gregory or who is, gosh, I love her, she has pink hair, she's amazing.
Or even on the men's side, like Joe Gray, who is
Yeah,
arguably one of the greatest athletes
or
in trail running of
El
all time.
Hussein.
El Hussein.
Yeah, exactly,
Madalena
and
Floria.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Madalena Floria. I think that part of it is that there's there's just a little bit less storytelling about, like, who are the athletes? Where it's like, we're in Courtney's house when she's getting ready and she's, eating nerd clusters, just making that up, but I think that where they could really lean in is the personality standpoint of, like, who are the athletes, their training, etcetera, to really build their stories and have people root for them.
Next up, and this is a series that I am excited to follow, sort of as a newly converted. But the SkyRunner World Series opened, I should say, in Argentina this weekend with one of South America's most technical races. The series kicked off Sunday with the Four Refugio nonstop, and I'm going to butcher this name, but Puerto Refugios in Colonia, Suiza. This is in Argentina's Bariloche region. UTMB has an event there as well. This one has 20 years of history behind it. The race covers 40 kilometers, 3,300 meters of vertical gain, widely billed as one of the most technically demanding mountain races in the region. The terrain is almost entirely high mountain. Less than 10% is sort of in that conventional low difficulty trail setting. Helmets are part of the mandatory equipment list. I think this is interesting at a time when some of the high profile voices in the sport, like Killian, have questioned whether trail running risks becoming too soft, too safe. Races like this are sort of the counterpoint. Some of the results on the women's side, I didn't know this name, but Callie McChrystal from Canada took the win in 6:21. On the men's side, Jose Manuel Quispe Malma from Peru took the win in 5:39.40. I was sort of scanning for USA representatives. Morgan Elliott was on the podium in 5:49.49. So he's sort of been someone in recent years who's invested in this scene. Thoughts here?
Well, first of all, that's a long race for a sky race, 6 hours? Not and I
Yeah.
believe it is that challenging, but, like, that is pushing the edge. Because I always think from a fueling standpoint, because the big change between a 2 to 3 hour race and, 5 to 6 hours is often the nutrition piece. And so that's a big ask and kind of adjustment for a lot of faster, really high intensity efforts where it's like, you've gotta kinda sustain and be a little bit patient on a 5 to 6 hour effort. So, that alone to me is very interesting, but I wanna do it. That sounds so I mean, I think it goes back to the roots of trail I mean, I believe skyrunning developed in Europe, of being able to move through technical mountain terrain efficiently, safely, and with speed. And so I just love that aspect of skyrunning. It feels very much in the root of the mountains.
The series continues March 7th, so 2 weeks from now. It's the Andes Mountain Sky Race in Chile. I'll be really curious to see how many of the athletes from this race then transition to that one. And we were just talking about content earlier and kind of getting to these athletes. I would love to see a series that follows Morgan Elliott kind of bouncing around the circuit, and how does he survive the thing? How does he perform? How does he bounce back? How does he train in between? Going to these exotic locations?
Yeah, there's two pieces to that. First of all, I've always thought about the training, and I guess you really can bounce back a lot faster from the shorter efforts. Supposedly, I mean, that's what it seems like, is that there's a lot higher frequency of being able to race. Second of all, but the travel demand, it like they seem to be kind of bounced all over the world, and wow, is that tough to, you maybe don't have a landing like for UTMB, everyone gets over there like 4 or 5, 6, maybe even longer ahead to really train and hone in on that place, and like the ability of these athletes to, drop in somewhere, get, race well and then move on, and also keep their fitness up, keep their recovery up. Like that alone is an incredible challenge. So yeah, I would love to hear more about how they manage that.
Next up, you put this one on the docket. Desert Rats to host the North American Paratrail Summit. This is cool. So Desert Rats is expanding its scope this year through a partnership with Born to Adapt to officially serve as North America's Paratrail Summit. Weekend support includes a dedicated para coordinator, access to a prosthetics expert, multiple coaches leading clinics focused on movement skills, long run prep, adaptive specific considerations. Aid stations will incorporate adaptive focused planning, on-stage guide training for any athletes that are interested in getting involved from that perspective. And yeah, this is interesting. Oh, also, they'll reserve entries in both the 100K and the 50K distances for adaptive athletes. Pretty cool. I just found out about this a few days ago, so I know I was criticizing you, Tim, on the entrance list, but this is an amazing initiative. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I put this on here because I'm very close with Zach Friedley, who is the head of Born to Adapt. I know that he has been behind a lot of the push for this, but it's really exciting to see that there's growth here, there's partnership here, and it's just like, yeah, you belong here. We need to support. How can we support? So I am so glad to see this happen because um, para athletes need stones to get into UTMB, and some of the races are not as accessible. And so I love that it's like, okay, here's a focus, here's a push of like, hey, let's get the stones to be able to bring you to, the world stage. So I love this. I hope it continues. Shout out to Zach. I know he's behind so much of this work, and yeah, just excited to see it. And also, what an amazing opportunity to be a guide in this, like to get out there, to be a part of the community. I mean, gosh, like, isn't that the core of why most of us join the trail running community?
It's really cool. And one of the first things that came to mind for me, I know Marion Hogan, obviously one of the best ultra runners in our sport, runs for Solomon. I know she has done this, I believe, at the Paralympics in the
Yes, she
in the
has.
triathlon field. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are a couple athletes in our sport who have a cool history as guides, and this is another great opportunity. Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna just add one. Genevieve Harrison, who runs for On, she guided one of the adaptive athletes in OCC last year.
Very cool.
So very cool. Yeah. I'll say my like fun thing. I've been working on I call myself, maybe this is odd, but I call myself like a word collector. So I love writing down phrases, sentences, quotes that strike me. And it's not just that they're inspirational, it's just things that stand out in my mind. I was an art major in college, an English major, and I made this whole project about like hanging all these note cards of just phrases I heard existing. So one, and that's been part of my like every day I'm just trying to write down something, some interesting quote. And mine was from yesterday. I was listening to actually one of my favorite podcasts is Climbing Gold with Alex Honnold. Incredible podcast, has absolute legends. If you're at all interested in climbing, highly recommend it. He had Jimmy Chin on. Jimmy Chin, I mean, the man's a legend, like has done everything from the arts to the physical side. And he said, nothing has been given to me. It's always been a fight. I was like, Jimmy Chin has had to fight for everything that he's done, which makes total sense. But also I was like, man, if Jimmy Chin has to fight, I'm going to fight hard. So that struck me of like, and also great episode, Jimmy Chin on Climate Gold podcast. Very worth a listen of like, he has worked so hard to be where he is.
Perfect place to put a pin in it. Alyssa, great to have you back. This has been another edition of the Single Track News. We will see you next Monday.